welcome to the semifinals of the Global Pokemon Society Draft League Season 11. And our opponent is going to be the Tokyo Togekiss. We did face them earlier in the season, and we did beat them, but that doesn't mean that their team is any less scary. With two ghosts that love to set up in your face, um, some options for hazards like Sticky Web and Stealth Rocks, um, to sort of mitigate the speed tiers a little bit and more skewed in her favor. She loves playing with the speed tiers, giving her the edge in that regard with things like Stun Sport, Sticky Web, even Tailwind sometimes. So she loves having the fastest Pokemon on the field, which speed does kill in the game of Pokemon. Um, so that's definitely something we have to work around, and it's not always as simple as just spinning away the hazards because we do have three ghost types that can block Rapid Spin. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the team that we're going to bring. Okay, so first things first, I'm not sold on this Titan yet. It is decent in theory. I might go back to the standard Citrus Berry set just because she has revealed red card on the Mimikyu before, which means that having a loaded dice set on this might just be a waste. So I might go back and just replace Icicle Spirit with something else, but it's decent in theory just because it does break potential potential sashes. Thank you. And it also does break Mimikyu's disguise. So we'll see how that goes. I do want to see if she's going to try to do the red card strat again on Mimikyu, because that'll determine whether or not I use Belly Drum beforehand. So that's that. Next we got Skeledirge. So Skeledirge is in an interesting position just because its unaware ability does make it to where any attempts to set up will be thwarted just because it won't deal any additional damage. And then also has it has a decent-ish, decent-ish match into Goldango just because it does have super effective damage on it, but also it is weak to Shadow Balls, so we'll have to see how it goes. But just having a Pokemon that makes it a little bit more tricky in terms of wanting to set up is beneficial to have. Next we have Great Tusk at Home, the Dog Fan, which is done pay dividends, literal dividends, with the Endeavor set that I have utilized in multiple weeks. However, that is not what we're doing today. Between the possibility of there being Air Balloon Goldango and 3 spin blockers, I wanted to have more than just Earthquake to do damage, especially in the chance that it's a ghost with an Air Balloon. I didn't want to be completely walled, so we had knockoff. Okay, excuse me. So yeah, that's the reason for that. Then we got Ninetales, pretty standard set. Decided to go Weather Ball over Ice Beam, just because it's got more power to it than Ice Beam does. Although, if the weather should ever fade, it does become, or if the snow ever does fade, it will become just a regular move that's not too important. But if they do change the weather, it does give me coverage options. Like if she changes the weather to sunny day, I all of a sudden have a fire type attack. If she changes it to rain, I have water coverage. So it seems worth the trade. And then we got, of course, Aurora Veil to bolster our defenses even further. And yeah. So the Grimmsnarl, Krampus. This is an interesting set. Nasty Plot, Burning Jealousy, Dazzling Gleam, and Sucker Punch. So we are running a mixed Grimmsnarl this week. Reason for this. Because she wants to set up so often with different mons, Burning Jealousy will have the option to burn them. So if Mimikyu wants to set up a Swords Dance, we use Burning Jealousy, and they get burned. And it kind of neutralizes the Swords Dance. So it basically gives us a free turn. We break this, guys. She's back on a neutral playing field. And I believe Sucker Punch after a Burning Jealousy does KO the Mimikyu after burn damage. And Burning Jealousy is also a 2-hit KO on Goldango, but the combination of Burning Jealousy and Sucker Punch is a guaranteed knockout on Goldango as well. Then outside of that, the last mon that we've got to talk about is Slowking. Very standard Slowking set. Nothing really to say here. We have Future Sight to try to hit the oh god, what is that thing's freaking name? Clodsire. And then we have Flamethrower for Goldango, basically. And then we have Slack Off and Chilly Reception. So, anyways, that's it for the pre-battle analysis. Let's go ahead and get into the battle portion of this video right about now. Welcome to the battle portion. Alright, we see a Rabombi lead versus the Donphan lead. Very, very predictable lead, to be honest with you. It starts off with a Sticky Web as I set up my rocks. She sets up a Stun Spore, which is a little annoying, especially since I get the Para. I was going for a Rapid Spin there, which is unfortunate. Now she's going to U-turn into one of her Ghosts, but I predict this, and I almost clicked Earthquake, but knowing that this Magius was possible, went for a knockoff because it was a happy middle ground. It would hit both Goldango, Mimikyu, and Goldango on the switch. So it seemed like a good middle ground to be, and Donphan gets a KO. And we also get to reveal the fact that the Miss Magus is also Specs, but I get Parahaxed again as I go for another Rapid Spin. And unfortunately, that means Sticky Webs are going to be up the remainder of the game. Unfortunately, at both turns, I went for Rapid Spin. I got hit with the Para, but it is what it is. So now she goes for a U-turn into the Clodsire. And I just go ahead and set up a Chilly Reception. And I go into Satitan. And I should have known better. This is a huge misplay on my part, but I went for a Belly Drum thinking that she couldn't really do anything, but I forget that Toxic is a thing that Clodsire can do. So I should have just went for the Icicle Spear, knowing that that would have KO'd regardless, or even Earthquake for that matter. And then I would have been able to get the Belly Drum up on the following turn. But it is what it is. I go for an Ice Shard here, hoping it would be enough to KO, because I know a Choice Scarf Chi will outspeed me after Sticky Web. So, unfortunately, there will be no Satitan sweep in Game 1. Now I go into Krampus to try to get some nasty plots going here, which we do successfully get off. Excuse me. Maybe he goes for the Swords Dance, which is perfect because now we go for the Burning Jealousy to break the disguise and get the burn. So now we're looking pretty spicy right about now. But the red card will unfortunately get revealed and it will switch us out of our nasty plot boosts. But the Mimikyu is burned. And we're ignoring the Swords Dance buff, so it's basically as if it were burned. We go ahead and just set up some Torch Songs. The idea here is because we know that a Shadow Ball from Goldango unboosted, assuming it's Timid max special attack, will do a max of 90%. So a Goldango Shadow Ball roll at this point is good, is a potential KO. But knowing that she's likely to set up Nasty Plot first, we just go ahead and boom, go for another Torch Song, go for the KO. That could have gone very wrong, but knowing her playstyle, that seemed like the appropriate play to make. Now we see Rabombi And now it's pretty much a wrap at this point, just because uh, the Skeledirge is pretty well set up to just take care of the rest of this team. Now, of course, the Chi-Yu could go for Dark Pulse if rocks weren't up and if it didn't just get knocked out by rocks. So that's game one. Very clean, very nice. Let's go into game two. All right, game two. Game two, we see the exact same leads of Donphan and Ribombee. Ribombee just goes straight for the Moonblast, trying to make sure that the Sturdy gets broken. I switch into Skeledirge because I want to be able to try to remove the potential sticky webs later, but we'll see how that goes for us. Goes for the Stun Spore to paralyze us, and we go for the Yawn. I was kind of anticipating the switch there. Probably into like Clodsire or something, but alas, that is not what happened. But the Sticky Web is up, and the Ribombee is now officially asleep. The switch into Chi-Yu happens. And at this point, I go straight into Grimmsnarl, predicting the Dark Pulse. But, or predicting a Dark Pulse, but they go ahead and switch. Now I go back out into Skeledirge, as she goes into Clodsire. I switch into the Glow-King to potentially take a Toxic, but she takes that opportunity to get her rocks up. I go for the Chilly Reception now, and I go into Donphan. Now, knowing that there's 3 ghosts in the back, but she knows that the knockoff happened last time, so I was thinking maybe she wouldn't do it this time, but alas, that's not what happened. She went ahead and went right back into Miss Mismagius switch anyway, even though it didn't work out well for her in game 1, so props to her for not being afraid. But now, we go into the Alolan Ninetales. I want to set up my screens as soon as possible, just because I know at this point I'm not going to be outspeeding her, so I need to focus on my bulk and my ability to tank hits. So we go into Skeledirge knowing that the Flamethrower is probably coming, and we take that very comfortably with only taking 16%. This Magius switch now comes, and we get fully paralyzed. The Paragods are not friendly to us today. There's been multiple very crucial paras that we got hit with that made it really tricky for us to play. And now we go into the Grimmsnarl, because now we're pretty much in range where Sucker Punch should be able to take it out. But knowing this, that they're probably going to switch, I go for a Nasty Plot, but they do have the Clodsire, which does kind of wall this particular Grimmsnarl set, unfortunately. So we need to deal with the Clodsire first. We go straight back into the Galarian Slowking. Unfortunately, Aurora Veil's only got one more turn after this. But we'll go ahead and take an Earthquake, which we take comfortably because of the screens. We can have a Chilly Reception. And now we go into this Titan right as the Aurora Veil fades. And now we have to play this super carefully. Learning my mistake from last game, we're just going to go ahead and go straight for the Icicle Spear. But she goes ahead and swaps into Mismagius. And Mismagius will go down to the Icicle Spear. Then she's going to go into Goldango. Now, I could set up a Belly Drum knowing that the Nasty Plot's likely, but I know that's the incorrect play because I would still have to break the Air Balloon before I'm able to attack, and at that point she is Nasty Plot boosted. So knowing this, I don't go for the Belly Drum, I just go straight for the Icicle Spear, break the balloon. I'm still faster, so I can go for an Earthquake, and that Earthquake will take out the Chi-Yu. So that's 2 mons down. So then she goes into Mimikyu. Then switches back immediately into Clodsire. I go for the Icicle Spear, which will be able to take out the Clodsire with 4 hits. And now the Mimikyu will come back in. And I know for a fact that at this range, Icicle Spear will take it out. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I know for a fact that from that range, Icicle Spear will take it out after breaking the disguise. So it turns out Loaded Dice was the correct item this week. I was second guessing myself, but I was very correct. So now, I know that an Earthquake will cleanly take out this Goldango. And at this point, we get the clean sweep from Titan without a belly drum. No belly drum needed for this particular sweep. So, shoutouts to Titan, my MVP, for clinching up this game 3, allowing us to go to the finals where we will face the Scotland Stouts. Stay tuned.